So it has become very apparent to me that you guys are really enjoying the ReZero character analysis. So what are we gonna do? That is absolutely right, we're gonna make another one. And today we're taking a look at the Witch of Greed herself, Echidna. And like we do in all videos, we're going to be taking a look at the appearance, their backstory, as well as their ability and how they got them. So without further ado, let's hop into the Echidna character analysis in depth. Echidna has white hair, and not just like the top of her head, I mean like eyebrows as well. Very, very pasty skin with dark eyes, as well as dark clothing, as well as having a butterfly clip on her hair. I always love doing the appearance because it's just sitting here saying things that like everybody obviously knows, but either way, it has to be done. Oh yeah, and I guess there was that one time she wore the schoolgirl stuff that Subaru really seemed to like in the trials, and he let her know. So let's get to Echidna's history. A long time ago in the earliest days of Echidna, Echidna would be worried about everything. She was the Witch of Greed, she wants to know everything. But yeah, not only did she want to know everything, she wanted to control everything. But it wasn't in a bad way. It's not like she was a bad person, not like she wanted to put an end to everything. She actually wanted to fix everything, which obviously, as some characters found out, including Subaru, you can't do everything on your own, and began to recruit help, but not giving up on the goal of trying to be a helpful person, fixing all these world problems that she wants to know about. Okay, so around 400 years earlier from the story that we know now, Echidna actually saved Roswell. Roswell had this type of like mana sickness, and after saving him, Roswell decided he wanted her to be his teacher. Henceforth, Echidna became Roswell's tutor. And those things we've seen in the anime as well as these next things I'm about to say. In the years to come, she goes on to research immortality, soul transferring, trying to take over and host other people's bodies. Also at this time, they built a sanctuary with humans and demi-humans that had a huge barrier that people could enter but could not leave while trying to do this research. In this research, she did manage to make clones. You know, the 3 pink-haired guardians of the sanctuary? Well, those are about to play a part in what I have to say next. Well, a man by the name of Hector actually tried to attack the sanctuary. Roswell at this point was 16 years old and was fighting Hector, but was getting whooped pretty bad and nearly died. And obviously this isn't a Roswell analysis, but this is part of her history, so we gotta talk about it. But realizing there wasn't much they could do to actually stop Hector, they had to get this barrier up at all cost. Hector was just too powerful. So the processes they were trying to complete to make the barrier were not complete. However, Ryuzumeyer went and sacrificed herself in the name of protecting them and bypassing the requirements to make the barrier active and keep everyone safe. Moving on, after the deaths of the other witches, Echidna actually collected their souls and brought them back to the sanctuary. Where, and this might be a spoiler for some of you, so you might want to skip ahead about like 20 seconds or so, and that's cool. Volcanica, a divine dragon, sealed her off in a tomb. And though her death has not been confirmed exactly when or how, she says that the Witch of Envy is the worst of all and that Envy has killed her and those other witches. Though that's just a statement, and other things in the series kind of contradict that. Okay, so that was Echidna's history as we know it. We're going to be moving on to Echidna's abilities and powers. First of all, the overarching theme is obviously she's the Witch of Greed, so she has the authority of greed. She can handle storing a lot more knowledge than other people can. And although it isn't exactly made clear what the authority of greed gives her the exact power to do, being that it's linked to the Book of Wisdom, I believe that makes the most sense. And that's why I'm fairly confident in saying what I said. And speaking of which, obviously one of her abilities is the Book of Wisdom, a book that allowed her to draw memories from the world's past and whatever knowledge she wished from it. And she's the only person that's really known to be able to read it, and like I said, I believe that has to do with her authority of greed. And if someone else was able to read it, they would probably end up with a fried brain because it's too much knowledge and they don't have the power that she has to obtain it. And yes, I know what some of you might be thinking. Roswell has one, Beatrice has one. Well, they're both imperfect. I mean, a matter of fact, Beatrice's was blank, and Roswell's was also incomplete. He couldn't handle that either. And of course, as a witch, she has the ability to simply use magic. At one time, she was one of the most unrivaled magic users in the entire world, being proficient in all 6 elements. She could use every single spell known to the world at the time. This lady was just overpowered, let's be honest. And although there's 100% people that are stronger than her in the story, it may be at like 1 or 2 types of magic. Nobody could match her in being so skilled at all 6 elements and having mastery of all. And her being the strongest was true even till after her death. For a while, that is, until Roswell himself, her apprentice, became the strongest mage in the land. And let's go a little bit deeper into the different types of magic, or certain spells. Echidna could use the ability Goa, basically making a fire that could just completely turn foes into ashes and incinerating them completely. Echidna could also use Jiwao, making it where she could fire heat rays from her fingertips. And no, these things did not just make them warm or hot or whatever. They could pierce through skin. Echidna also has some form of healing magic that I believe she she also used on Roswell. This water mana could heal the wounds of both herself and others, but only physical ones. It couldn't do anything for, like magical or psychological problems. Next up, teleportation. That's right, she could teleport just like Beatrice can. And this is no easy feat. Roswell can't do it. I mean, how many times could Roswell show up so late to a scene to quote unquote save some people? Exactly, he wasn't teleporting. But yeah, Echidna could teleport. Spoiler for anime only. Skip 15 seconds again if you don't want to hear this one. Echidna had the power to use Al Shario. This spell was ridiculous. Quite literally could bring stars down to Earth, kill the enemy that was in front of her. How was the Earth even still there at that point? You know what I'm saying? And also, Jesus, you couldn't even get Satella with that? That's ridiculous. And apparently it wasn't no slow process of a spell either. Apparently these stars came down quite literally like shooting stars, faster than lightning and unavailable. And it's even be said that at once she used the spell to kill 100 silver dragons at once. That's wild. And Echidna also had another overpowered ability. This lady was just ridiculous. The soul transfer. She came up with a spell that could transcribe her own soul into another body as a means of living forever. And although she didn't exactly complete it, so this didn't work for her, there's a character in the series, this is not a spoiler, that was able to use it, as we know, that being Roswell, and that's the reason he's so old and he's been around for so long. So I'm gonna give her credit for that one, even though she didn't finish it. Okay, so moving on past the more attacky spells. Next we have life construction. And not just life, overall construction period. She had the ability to create artificial beings or spirits. If you want to know some of the ones that she created, stay tuned. But if you don't want any spoilers, once again, skip 10 seconds. I know this might get annoying, but hey, I'm just trying to help you out. She created Puck, Beatrice, and another version of herself, although in the form of a wolf. If you know, you know. And of course, she could also make clones, so she has the clone creation type magic. We've seen that with Ryuzu and all the different copies of her. And they're 100% made of mana, no flesh or blood. And here's another ability, once again, skip 10 seconds. Gosh, man, I'm just trying to look out for you anime only watchers. Even though I guarantee there's probably been 2 or 3 times I should have said that already and I never did, but hey, it's the thought that counts. Echidna also made medias. Different objects that you can channel mana through, even if you aren't very proficient in doing so or you can't use mana yourself. The most obvious version of this was the mirrors that Amelia was referring to, where people could talk to each other from across the world without having to be face to face. That's one of the things that Echidna made. What a pioneer, really. Echidna also has this kind of passive ability called miasma, which is something like Beetlejuice or the White Whale would have, something that just makes you freeze up, sometimes vomit, and according to some places can kill people. And whether or not you can survive, most people can't resist at least some effect of what this can do to you. And she has 2 more abilities. You can see these in the trials in season 2 of the anime, both the Castle of Dreams as well as memory manipulation. The Castle of Dreams is basically the place of the witch's tea party where she stored all of the witch's souls. So powerful that even return by death doesn't take effect there. And of course, memory manipulation, is one of the trials on its own. Like when Subaru went to go talk to his parents, and at a point, even making him forget about Amelia, Rim, and the people from the world, Luginica. Oh my gosh, that was a lot. So yeah, that's basically all of Echidna's powers and abilities. The lady's ridiculous. That was basically a whole 3 pages and a half, a PhD essay on the different things she can do with her powers. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And that was great. My camera just died. Anyways, moving on to Echidna's personality, we're gonna cover some points, but we're not gonna go too crazy in depth because you can kind of get the gist of what's going on when her name is the Witch of Greed. But out of respect for Echidna as well as the story, we're going to talk about a few things. Echidna's obviously obsessed with wanting to know more. We saw this whenever she was trying to coax Subaru into having a contract with her, trying to put it as mutually beneficial so he can get the outcome that he wants, and so she could see every possible outcome of what happens whenever Subaru dies, the new characters and the new storylines that happen. Because that right there, I can't even blame her, is just absolutely insane. That's the reason we like to know what happens in the what if story, different possible endings. She's also known for being understanding of other people, yet somewhat childish. And while some people do take it at face value, others take it as being a dark person with a dark heart. Part of the reason she can easily understand and seem so childish about the most serious things is because she doesn't actually care, or doesn't truly understand the feelings of others, and only looks at things as a chance to gain more knowledge. She was also known as being someone who would be very deceptive and would lie if it meant she could gain more knowledge out of somebody or something. Although if you've watched the series, you don't see that too much because her main interaction was with Subaru, and she was actually quite cordial and understanding of him, even respecting his decision not to do a contract with her, although she was a little petty and banned him from coming back to the Castle of Dreams, so she's definitely not rainbows, you get what I'm saying? One last personality trait that was described by the other witches is that she's also clumsy, at one point forgetting to change out of her nightgown, going out in the world looking like a bum, and I wish I would have seen it because that would be hilarious, as well as at one point accidentally setting a forest on fire. Like, what? So yeah, I mean, that's all I got. If that doesn't explain Echidna's personality, then I don't know what will. Greedy, clumsy, and not too harsh of a person to talk to, although she does have her own motives, basically. So yeah, in my opinion, that will sum it up. In conclusion, I really do like Echidna as a character. Every time we see her in the story, something interesting happens, and I would also like to know some more of her deep knowledge and what she knows about that entire world, as she probably knows more than quite literally anyone. And overall, I would really like to take a sip of some of that Echidna tea. Please don't dislike the video. So yes, this is the Witch of Greed, Echidna in-depth analysis. We covered Echidna's appearance, personality, powers and abilities, as well as backstory. If you enjoyed or found it informative, make sure to drop a like on the video. And if you would like to attend Echidna's Witch Tea Party with me, please be sure to subscribe and I'll see you there. It's Riz, hope to catch you in another video.